As she pleases. She's feeding the goats right now.
Okay, great. All right, welcome to the Author's Classroom. This is your host, Doug Crow, speaking. And today I'm very, very fortunate to bring on one of my good friends that I've been not bugging, but just sort of waiting to get him on air and ask him some questions about what he's done to really build up his business and his life and his lifestyle through joint ventures and through some really incredible direct response activities we're going to cover in a minute. Before we do that, I want to give you an introduction. I'm going to have you tell a few things about yourself because I built this as an interview with the world's most interesting man, because even though you don't have the beard, you actually qualify.
Talk about oversold already. Holy smokes.
You're modest. That's why I love you. So go ahead and give me just a couple of nuggets on, I
will. It's my daughter picking pears right now to feed the goats. Oh, they're leaves. Just leaves. I got it. No, Mr. Doug, as you know, we've been pals for years and years. We've literally, when I say been around the world, we have actually traveled around the world several times together and speaking and whatnot. And me, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love business. I love, when someone pitches me a deal, or I love pitching deals, and love to take things from start and watch them grow. That's really my passion. I have a lot of fun doing that. And a lot of it, of course, it started in the entertainment business. While I was doing that, I started buying some small market radio stations and a little bigger market radio stations, and sold our company and got in the radio network business. And through that, actually, it was through my first radio station I bought in 1993. Got into the infomercial business by total mistake. It was direct response, and so that's really kind of what led me to what I do now. Is a lot of direct response, a lot of media. And of course, that led me. Everything seems to lead to another thing, all connected to doing business internationally. So I got to where we were buying so many products from China that for infomercials and things like that, people started saying, "Hey, you know what? You know your way around China. You know a lot of the manufacturers over there. Can you hook me up?" So then that kind of kicked off another extension of our direct response company, Kent Direct, which is doing everything from representing brands, American brands, into China, and marketers here in America that need products from China. So we have clients on both sides and take a piece of both deals. It all came down, again, it all started, 1 years ago after I bought that first little I think I paid $135,000 for my first radio station.
Wow.
Barely scraped it together. No.
All right, I know one thing I like about you is that you could probably name drop for a half an hour or an hour solid. We're not going to do that, but I like to give people a little bit of a flavor for some of the deals that you've done. I mean, one of them I think was that mosquito wristband on direct response. Did you guys do that?
Actually, that's a friend of mine that has a company called Superband. He goes to China with me a lot. That's probably what you're thinking about. That was never a direct response product. He goes directly into market to Walmart with that. He's a great entrepreneur you should have on the show, too. We just had lunch in Malibu yesterday together. He's a great guy. Very, very cool guy.
All right.
But infomercial products, the infomercial products are, everything from books, information products, seminars, that kind of stuff. And then we've done actual products, too, like gadgets and that type of thing. The Gabanis really are the big ones in that space, but where we found a niche, we've picked up in that space too. And the real key to the way we built our direct response business compared to most, and both are great models. It just happens mine's the poor guy model because you kick these things off and they can be relatively cash intensive and really risky. We leverage my media contacts by the folks that own radio stations like myself, cable networks. Of course, as you know, I've done 2 cable startups. So we know our way around that world, and we're able to do a lot of deals on what's called per inquiry, where when we sell a product, we pay the media a certain percentage of that sale. So we don't have to come out of pocket with several $100,000 a week in media, like a lot of infomercials do, where they have to go out and buy that time. We've got enough of a reputation around that we can actually go out there, get that time, not bartered, but get it, again, per inquiry, so we pay when we sell. If we don't sell, we don't pay. It's a great way to get it out there. When you get a product that works great, then they'll just keep running and running and running it because they're making more money off that than they would off of selling a commercial. And that's how I got into the direct response business anyway, through my first radio station, was someone came in and pitched me that deal. I didn't understand what they were talking about until I saw the checks rolling in. Then I went, as a radio station owner, I like this because I don't have to hire a salesperson. I don't have to babysit salespeople, and they're the biggest wise. They're whiny and half of them salespeople just especially in the radio business typically don't work out. So I don't have to do that. Don't have to pay a rep firm. Don't have to pay a commission, and don't have to worry about collections because these are all pretty good-sized companies. So those checks every week, you get those checks in, and you go, you know what? This is better than going out and trying to sell to Fred's Market down the street.
All right, we're gonna get to the details on that because what you just said, I'm guessing about 80% of it was over the head of most of the people watching this. I understood about 90% of it, but that's because I've known you for a while. So before we get into the details of the joint venture and direct response thing, because I'd like to really peel away some specific steps an ordinary person can not just dream about, but actually do. Mm-hmm. So in order to pull that off, what I'd like for you to do is just talk a little bit about, okay, I don't have $135,000 to buy my first radio station. That's not a real barrier to entry based on what we're going to say, what we're going to talk about in a minute. But what about mindset? How did you actually start off saying, I know you started doing oil wells and stuff, but when you were a young man, what was it about your upbringing? I think your dad was very influential, but what was it about it that made you go to think big right away?
You know what it was? I mean, my dad was the president of our little small-town community bank. It's a good-sized bank for Southern Illinois, but still a small bank in the grand scheme of banks. And but he was an entrepreneurial banker, and the founder of the bank, who was his mentor, also very entrepreneurial. And I watched my dad bank entrepreneurs, and I thought, you know what, I could never be a 9-to-5er. Man, I mean, I never have been. And so I always knew that I would work for myself, and I always have, And I started out as a kid, 7th and 8th grades, started picking up lawn mowing customers, and I think my average is about 25 a week. I mowed 25 yards a week, during the spring, summer, and fall, and raked leaves, shoveled snow, did all that kind of stuff. Great cash business, and I think I bought my first certificate of deposit. I actually got it in a frame somewhere around here. My first CD, to give you an idea, this is back when Jimmy Carter was president, and the interest rates were 18%. And on my CD, I was getting paid 15.8 or 15.9%. So this gives you an idea how long ago that was. But I always knew that I was an entrepreneur. I couldn't even fathom the thought of coming in and clocking in and doing all that kind of stuff. And I loved watching these great entrepreneurs that my dad would bank and going, wow, some of these guys just knocked it out of the ballpark. And I always wanted to be those guys. Okay.
So a lot of entrepreneurs have the same thought. They can't do 9-to-5. They like doing deals, whatnot. But what I see is a lot of people just they have blinders on, and I can see what's in front of me. I can see doing a deal, doing social media or with my current network of people. But when I talk to you and see what you do, you're like, no, I'm going to deal with, the real world. Guys who do things with lots more zeros on them. Than what most entrepreneurs look at. They have limiting beliefs about I'm looking to make an extra 100, or maybe I want to get to $500,000 a year. And from what I understand, some of your individual deals are of that size, not your annual income, obviously.
Yeah, we take a look at everything, but it takes. I mean, I guess we have to start with the premise that all of us have the same 24 hours in a day that the rest of us do. So I have the same 24 hours a day you do, and so you can choose to use that 24 hours a day. Going out, beating down the doors, trying to open up a mom and pop restaurant, or you can use that same time to go out and try to make a bigger deal. And use that. I think Richard Branson really kind of captured that. In like he said, my 24 hours, he said, I just used it more wisely than the other guy, than most other guys. And he said, there's nothing magical about me. I just used my time better. And so, find something that scales and focus your time on that. When I say scales, it can grow and grow rapidly. So take a look at like some of the great guys, everything from. Is that the dog?
I hope so.
Say, goodness alive.
Not my stomach growling. Yes, go ahead.
But you got to take a look at some of the great entrepreneurs out there. Go back to Ray Kroc, who franchised McDonald's, or Colonel Sanders, who did his special recipe and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Those guys use their time wisely. They picked something that scaled. In other words, had the potential to grow quickly, and that's how they did it. They didn't sit with one or two restaurants or doing it. Even like these smaller outfits that are making millions of dollars, like Mary Maid and different ones like that. People going, you know what? Let's get a group of maids together. Let's sell them franchises. Give them something cool, kind of a cool brand, and go. And they're making a fortune.
Okay,
Now they could have a cleaning business.
And so it's about scalability from the very beginning. So you don't want to pick something where it's, hey, I want to do a widget, or I want to do some consulting deal. I want to do something where I can license it out and go big with it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. And even if it is a local deal of some sort, like a restaurant or like a I don't know, whatever it may be, make sure it's big enough that make sure it's big enough it's worth your time. Also, make sure it's big enough that it's going to have value to someone else, because you don't want to be an operator the rest of your life. You want to build. If you're like me, you're a serial entrepreneur. You want to build it and you want to sell it. Operating is really not my thing, but building and selling it, or building it and taking my cash off the table and keeping stock and moving on to the next thing is, to me, that's where the excitement's at. Operating
Right.
is not terribly exciting.
Okay. A lot of our the people in my organization, my network, are authors. They've got books that are coming out, and they tend to get really passionate about their topic, but they're horrible at scaling it and marketing and whatnot, because there's, with self-publishing, there's, approximately 250 to 300,000 new books coming out every single year, and there's a lot of clutter and noise out there. Do you have any tips on how an author could possibly, break through the clutter and scale up their business?
Yeah, make sure the book is one of those that'll touch a real hurt point, like a point where someone is like, oh man, I am so passionate about this, I got to pick up the phone and buy it, or I got to jump online and buy it. Make it something like that. Books on new ways of health, or losing weight, or money, how to make money, or that kind of thing. Things that are credible and addresses somebody's pain point. So
Right.
most people are short of cash, so they need to learn how to. They want a quicker way or a better way to make money, and they want some focus. A lot of people are sick of the medical system right now. I mean, obviously we all are, and so natural ways of medicine are better, are being sought after. So that's a pain point for people. So things that are really people can become passionate about. The other thing too is if it's controversial, that makes it even better, because you're going to get press. You get a lot of free press, and so the more free press you get, the more attention you get, the more people are going to search you, the more people are going to search out your books, your material, your speaking engagements, that type of thing.
Right.
So pain point and controversy, I think, make it's a match made in heaven when it comes to being an author.
Outstanding. Okay, we're going to come back to that at the very end of this broadcast in about 15, 20 minutes or so, because I want to talk to you about an author. I know we can't disclose his name and his book and whatnot, but I know there was a very large, I think it was like probably a 7 or 8 figure income that came from that. So don't go anywhere. We're going to come back and talk about that in a few minutes.
Sure.
Before we do, I want to ask you about joint venture specifically, because I think that for an entrepreneur who's starting out, and there's a lot of work involved, but I've seen you do some things where in a few minutes you've put a couple people together and made as much in a few minutes as most people make in a month, or perhaps even a year, by brokering a really good joint venture program. For somebody who's just starting out, who has they think they don't know anybody, or they think they don't have a product, could you give them like a 3-step system how they could vet a good product and put together a couple people to possibly do a joint venture program?
Yeah, you know what? You try to find the people in your circle, or at least within people within the circle of your circle that would be able to distribute or sell whatever product or service it is you're looking to distribute or sell. So, for instance, we have a cable network. What's that?
Go ahead, give us an example you can use.
Now, as you know, I mean, my Rolodex. I mean, I've been in business since for 30 some odd years. I mean, I'm 49, so it's like I've been in business forever. So my Rolodex is pretty vast, and it's it's Hollywood, it's industry, it's media, it's that type of thing. So those are the type of businesses we focus on. So for me, I can go directly to a lot of these folks and put together a dream team. Like we've got a cable network that we're working on right now, and I was able to go to a lot of folks in the cable business, a lot of folks in the in the internet business, a lot of folks in the ad business and that kind of stuff, and bring everyone together and say, here's the idea. And, before you know it, we had a board put together. This thing is gelling and it's kind of moving. Now, if I didn't have the Rolodex that I've got, I will go to somebody who does and say, here's what I'm looking to do. And I have a lot of young entrepreneurs that do that, as you know. And they'll come to me or they'll come to somebody in our circle and say, you know what, we've got this great idea. I know you know folks that are in this area. What do you think about the deal itself? What do you think about the premise of what we're looking to do? Is it something the general market would like? Do you think they would like it? Some people, have got a finger on the pulse of the market. Some people don't. We get some crazy ones. I got one guy that calls every now and then back in my home.
Give me an example. Give me a little levity here. Give me the craziest one you've seen.
Oh, dude, I've seen some crazy ones. But anyway, the ones that are good, and you think the people are good, those are the kind of people you'll open up your Rolodex for, and say, you know what, I'll jump in here with you. We'll put a team together and we'll explore this thing. Now, 90% of the time they don't go anywhere, but it's those 10%, well, probably even more than that. But it's that, it's that 5 or 10% of the time where they work that magic happens, and you wind up with a piece of it just by that person coming to you and saying, I need to tap into your Rolodex. That tells you how old I am. I say Rolodex. Does anybody even own a Rolodex anymore? I have no idea.
Well, they have electronic versions, but that's okay. It's called, email. Don't worry about it. It's all right.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, I don't even have a Rolodex anymore, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so if I'm a new entrepreneur and I've got an idea for either a product or some information product or whatnot, and I want to bring it out to the marketplace, I know there's, you said 90% of them don't fly. Do you look at...
When don't fly, I don't mean 90% of the ones that go to market. I'm talking about, of the deals that walk in your door, you may take the next step to explore it, and then you go, there's some rust in the armor somewhere. You go, you know what? The deal looked pretty good on the surface, and then all of a sudden, maybe the market wasn't what we thought it was. Maybe the margins weren't where they thought they were. Maybe the availability of the end product wasn't what you thought it would be. Maybe media wouldn't run it or wouldn't go with it. So I don't mean it like that. Of the stuff that goes, if we take something to market, we will beat that thing until it works. So I mean, because by that time we've got a lot of time, money, and resources invested in it. But a lot of things just don't go to market, and you have to take a lot of pitches, to get a good one. And I know that, when you're out pitching, when I'm pitching other people, same thing. You got to pitch a lot of people before somebody goes, well, I mean, it's a little easier now that I've, got a track record. But years ago, you'd have to go and really pitch a lot of folks. And anyway. So, but yeah, once you get a little bit of traction on something, you just keep going with it, and hopefully it plays out.
All right. So you mentioned obviously the product and the people and operations. I'm not sure what else is involved with looking at things. Is there any one thing in particular that is a deal killer? Like, a great product, but the guy's a jerk, or vice versa. The guy's great, but his product's mediocre.
Yeah, it's always like the ones that come to you and they're like, they have no track record whatsoever, nothing's going, and they're like, okay, I want you to sign 9 pages of NDAs, I want you to do this and this and this and this and this and da-da-da. And so, you know what? Good luck to you. Well, as you know, you and I have done business for years. Everything's on a handshake, so now again, you do have to have contracts and all that kind of stuff. But when someone comes in, that way, you just know they're going to be a jerk to work with. So I just don't do it. And life is too short. And I also enjoy the posse that I've worked with for years. To me, that's what makes business fun.
So actually, the character of the partner would be probably number one. Then the product would deal.
Like say, hold on. You get to be on Doug's show here for a second.
Who's there?
Omar.
Who's Doug?
He's an author in Chicago, and we're doing his show right now.
Oh, hi.
Omar's been hooking up fixing my refrigerator water line. Yes. So you have Doug's audience and Doug.
Well,
there we go. So we're good to go.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't see this on Larry King.
Okay.
I got to.
The refrigerator, the guy didn't do anything. I connected.
Wait, folks. We'll be right back with this quick commercial break from Omar, the refrigerator guy.
Who's that?
He's actually on a show.
Really?
Yeah, you
so
just...
he went into commercial now?
No. He's waiting on me.
Oh.
Yeah, but Flory can you know, can you grab... yeah.
I'm going to get write an invoice.
Oh, great.
And
okay. Oh, cool.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah.
All right. So yeah, people, product, and the deal itself. You look at those three things. I get that. Is there anything a person would look for if I want to put together a deal? What kind of industry or connections I would look for to get started?
Like, what do you mean?
Hi, Aubrey. If I'm a brand new entrepreneur and I want to put something together, would it be better to look for a specific industry which is growing? Like, say, I want to go find the next cool iPhone app, or would it be better to focus on the connections that I have and find out what I can do there?
You know what? Focus on something you really dig, something you like. You know, it's amazing that you know, you don't find too many people that made billions off things they don't like. I mean, you know, you take a look at, like, I always come back to Richard Branson because he's like one of those guys who's like, you know, even one of his books is called "Screw It, Let's Do It." It's like he loved that, you know, he loved the record business years ago. He loved the airline business. You know, all this stuff that he just digs doing. A lot of these finance guys on Wall Street, man, they eat, live, and breathe numbers and deals and all that kind of stuff. So find something you really, really like. You know, if you're you know, if you're crazy about barbecue, figure out a way to make money off of it. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. It could be sauce. It could be finding founding the barbecue network where we go every week to the best barbecue, whatever it may be. I mean, there's a million different things out there. Just find something you dig and you like. Can you imagine being straddled or saddled with something you don't like? I mean, seriously, being stuck in a deal like that where something you don't like. So you want to find something that you know, something that you really dig, and then build around that. Figure out how to make it work.
Excellent. Great advice. What I'd like to do is talk to you in the last 10 or 15 minutes here, Kent, about direct response advertising, because a lot of people and the viewers of today's show are going to get a book that I wrote about radio broadcasting. You got a lot of experience in radio broadcasting. Most entrepreneurs, you know, younger entrepreneurs, will look at that and go, "Ooh, radio is too expensive. I can't afford to advertise." And what I loved about the direct response deals, a lot of the ones that you've done, they do that joint venture program where, hey, you know, we're going to split the deal on this, and it costs you more in the back end, but up front, it might not cost you anything at all, right?
You know, it's true. And, you know, I come at it from both sides, from both the radio station ownership side, radio network ownership side, and the marketer side, which is the guy selling the product. So I know both sides of the deal. Fortunately for me, like we talked about before, the way I got into the direct response business was somebody coming in and pitching me direct response per inquiry type payment arrangements on my radio station, and showing me that the guy said, I want to buy, the guy literally comes in and says, I'd like to buy some radio time. And I said, what a coincidence, I'd like to sell some. And of course we both laughed and everything. It was about lunchtime, we went out to lunch, and he pitched me on this whole thing of, well, it's called per inquiry, and he walks me through this whole thing where, you know, we get a special 800 number assigned to our station only, and when somebody calls that number and buys a product, we get a percentage of that sale. And they can track it by the phone number, and then they give me access to the records of that 800 number, so we can track every one of the sales. Sometimes it's per lead, so they pay you per phone call, you know, so they'll pay me 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 bucks a call, whatever it may be. On a sale, it may be 50% of the first sale, you know, that type of thing. But you know, I looked at it and went, man, this is great. So I started doing it at that station, then some other stations that I bought, and that's what got me into the business. Somebody had a product and said, we ought to be selling this particular product, and I'm like, man, have I got the way to sell it? And so I went out to other radio stations, other radio networks, and that kind of stuff, and started doing it. And this guy didn't have a media budget that, again, can run 100, 200, 300,000 a month. I mean, a lot of bucks for a small entrepreneur. He didn't have that kind of budget. But he did have us and me and my friends with radio stations and radio networks. We took it out, and it worked. And as a small marketer, you know, you can actually go to your cable MSO, which is like if you're on Time Warner Cable or Comcast or someone like that. You can actually go to your local Time Warner Cable office, and a lot of them will do. I mean, you typically will have to come through someone like me, so you've got the credibility to pull it off. But you can actually go locally and do per inquiry right there, or you can do it across their entire system across the country. So it's really, to me, that's the entrepreneur's way of marketing. I mean, you know, if you have a product and you've only got a couple $100,000 to market it nationally, it's like peeing in the ocean. It's like you're just not going to make any. You're not going to make a splash. But for no money, only paying per sale, he's going to do two things for you. One, it's going to be the best market research you ever get, and two, you're going to get a boatload of coverage quickly. And if it works, they're going to keep you on the air for a long time. You know, a lot of the things like the Snuggie or Snuggle or different things, all those different products you see, a lot of that's per inquiry. So those ads aren't paid for. And some of them are, but most of them are per inquiry. Where that television station's going, you know what? I can make more money by taking a piece of the sale than I can by taking your money per spot. So we're going to do it like that. So as a media guy, as a radio station owner and a television show owner or a producer, we would rather find the right product and take a piece of your sales than we would have to sell you an ad, because we have to pay a salesperson, we have to pay and this is a little secret no one knows. Nobody really gets this except the group of us that kind of run in that space, you know. Small entrepreneurs need to understand this is a great way to get coverage fast and cheap, and if your product's working and you're giving good customer service and the station is getting good feedback, so you're a match made in heaven right there.
Do they look for a lot of like a track record? Like if you have a brand new product or a new company, will they entertain a venture deal like that, where you're going to do a pay per inquiry or response?
We come to a company like us, and use our credibility. We kind of give it the thumbs up and say, yeah, we kind of stand behind these folks. They're good. A lot of times we'll have to guarantee their payments, or we'll put up a deposit for them or something like that. So Joe Blow off the street likely couldn't walk into that, but they could come to any number of us that do this. There are probably 10 or 15 of us in the country that do it. I'm a small enough shop that I can take on small entrepreneurs. A lot of them, won't take you on unless you're a Guthy Rinker or some, multi-billion-dollar business. We're small enough that, we don't have 40 layers of management to go through. You have one layer, and that's me. It's like, we, and then our media people. But, we're small enough that we love entrepreneurial deals.
Mm-hmm. And how many do you look at on a monthly or quarterly basis?
I don't know. There's really a set number. It's just you get, I don't know, today two or three calls. None of the deals I really wanted to look at, but got the calls, and they kind of describe the product or describe whatever, and so you get them. You get them all the time. There's never an end of, or never a shortage of ideas, and of all to give you, just to show you just how absolutely brilliant I am. When somebody called about the Snuggie or Snuggler, I went, "You got to be kidding me! Really? Now, why would somebody buy a blanket with a hole in it?"
Oops.
Unless you're Orthodox. Anyway, the Orthodox will get that. So that one I passed on. That one could have been good. But you get crazy stuff all the time. You never know what's going to sell, and so sometimes you pass on good ones. Sometimes you pick up some good ones.
Well, you passed on the Snuggie, because it was a blanket with a hole in it. But
yeah.
you also took on an author, which will remain nameless, and had some very, very large success with this. So if you could give us a little breakdown on how that went down, because he didn't go the traditional route of publishing and putting it on Amazon or going to a New York publisher. He went infomercials, right?
That's right, and very controversial guy, and kind of came to us, under the radar. Somebody we'd known for quite some time, and wanted to get this thing out. There were some restrictions that had to be upheld in the way he sold products, and so we took it out, PI, per inquiry, and most media companies wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. We loved the deal and saw that there was a real pain point for the product that he was selling, the initial product he was selling, and we saw several opportunities. We saw an opportunity. It
was a book, right? His first product was a book?
It was a book, information product.
All right.
So we loved it. Like I said, the guy's very, very controversial, but the thing took off, exploded, and was
What kind
built
of numbers did
on.
you do in the first year or so? What kind of numbers happened? Do you remember?
It was big. It was big. There were $8 and $10 million months, early on. So there were relatively
$8 and $10 million months.
months. Yeah.
Is that gross? How much did he make?
Gross.
Yeah.
He made a lot.
Okay.
And then he also ended up with membership site, where he had a boatload of people paying $9 to $12 a month, and they stuck for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So he did, that one did very well for a lot of us, very, very well.
Right.
So
what was the difference between someone like that who decided to launch a book on infomercial and making obscene beyond rockstar money? With other people that pitched you information products like that and they hadn't had the same success, what was the differentiator?
It was highly controversial, very highly controversial, and it worked. Then you've got other ones, that I think are good too, that are, that have done well, making money through eBay and little secrets on how to do that kind of stuff, doing financial products, those type of things. There's a lot of those out there that do well and address pain points. That particular one, it was the perfect storm. It was a media that said, okay, we'll go along if you'll sign up, if you'll put your name on it, which I did, and the controversy of the author, and of course, this particular thing was healthcare, and everybody, starting 15 years ago, everybody was up in arms, and it's just gotten worse. That whole scene has deteriorated. I think there's a hole in the marketplace a mile wide for more healthcare type of things, whether it be addressing insurance issues, addressing Medicare and Medicaid issues, or whether it be just natural things that you can do to stay out of the doctor's office and that unknown area of, oh my God, am I going to get a bill for $9,000 for a blood test?
Yeah. It reminds me of a friend, Alex Carroll, who sold a book only on the radio, and it was How to Beat Any Speeding Ticket.
Yeah.
And he was a former courier driver, and he had great tips on how to challenge the cops' eye test and stuff. And he would beat 2 out of 3 speeding tickets. Very controversial. And he had cops call on the radio and give him a hard time. And he would, hey, yeah, you know what? Was how I beat your dumb test and stuff. And it was controversial. Yeah. He sold over $1 million worth of his book just on radio advertising.
Yep. Hold on, I'm getting somebody whispering away here. Yeah, buddy.
And now it's time for the kid break.
Go in the kitchen. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the lesson there, controversy is a really good thing to key in on for getting your product out there.
Absolutely, I think it is, and create some controversy, even if it's like the most mundane, topic, which hopefully nobody writes a book on something, but figure out the controversy, something, and you're bound to get a lot of free press.
All right, very good. All right, Ken, I'm gonna see if I can open up this question and answer thing here to see if anybody has any questions.
Everyone loves a rebel, so keep that in mind. If you're like rebelling against something and you're writing about it, that's going to create controversy, and that's going to get you a following.
Right. If anybody has any questions, the chat is open, and you can put your questions in there for the next, 5 minutes or so, and we'll have Ken answer a question, because you probably won't have one for me, but you'll have one for him, and you can ask it here in the chat, and we'll see if anybody lights that up right now. In the meantime, you can tell me a story. Ken, tell me one of your favorite jokes. I know you got so much experience in comedy. You work with National Lampoon and started the first 24-hour comedy channel. How did that happen?
You know what? I always, again, it was one of those things I was passionate about. I owned radio stations, and I was driving from Florida to Branson, Missouri, and was listening to an NPR station, I think it was, on a Sunday night, and they were playing a comedy album. And I thought, man, this is back in like the 90s, and I said, or mid-90s, and I said, why has somebody not done an all-comedy, all-the-time radio network? This is before XM and Sirius and all that kind of stuff. And so I thought, I'll just do it. And so I started researching it and that kind of stuff. Howard Levine and I teamed up out here. We raised $10 million, and we started it, and it worked.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, and what it does, there were a lot of barriers to entry, but we were able to overcome those by working with a lot of the record labels and directly with some of the comedians and that type of thing. And it was just one of those things. I went, you know what? I think people would listen to this.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I wanted to have, if you have time to share with me before we close out this thing, on what you did with that one radio station on the direct response. I thought that was fascinating. If you can share it with the car dealer, with the test drive and the joke of the day thing.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. With radio stations, I've always tried, just because I got into the direct response business as a radio station owner and found that I could make a lot more money doing it like that. I've always found that, that holds true whether it's a specialty type station or whether it's a, something that everyone would listen to. As you know, we have tourist oriented stations, we have comedy stations, we've had talk stations, all that kind of stuff. And one of the comedy stations we had in Phoenix, Arizona, KPHX, and it was an AM station, really crappy AM station. It had a decent signal, 1480 on the dial, but great station, and for comedy, but it had no ratings whatsoever. So I went to a car dealer over there and I said, look, I know that your ad agency won't buy won't buy my station because we don't have any ratings. They buy ratings only, but you're looking for test drives. If I can drive, I know I have an audience, but it won't show up for 5 or 6 ratings books probably. So how about if I can drive test drives to you, how much would you pay me per test drive? And the guy said, well, the deciding at the time was $35 or $40, something like that per test drive. That's kind of what they figure it was their cost to get a lead in the door to sit in a car and drive it. Now I think that cost is up to $60 or $70. So I said, great. So I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. You know what? I'll take the best of the unknown comics who would give me, a clip of their audio for free. I'll make a CD, and I'll duplicate it. It'll be especially for that group of car dealers. And I said, I'll tell you what, when people come in and they ask for their free CD, their free comedy CD, with to do a test drive, you give it to them. We'll come back at the end of the month, and we'll give you $500 to start with, and whatever's not left in there, pay us the $35 or $40 for it. And it worked. So they're like, now what's the catch? And there's no catch. If no one comes in, you don't have to pay me. They're like, you're kidding. Said, nope, you don't have to pay me, not a nickel. Thing worked great. People loved the comedy CDs. Turned out the leads were great for them too. They had a higher percentage rate of selling. I don't know if that was coincidental or what, but it was that way all the way through the thing, and it worked out really, really well. And that's a customer that could never have bought me in probably 4, 5, 6 ratings books. It would have taken before they could have bought me, and then it would have been a fraction of what we actually made off the client. So we did that with everyone from butchers taking a percentage of their sales to car dealers to concerts, like a comedy, comedy show. We'd take a piece of the door at the Improv or whatever, all kinds of stuff like that. You could say, you know what, don't pay me a nickel, just pay me on the sale. And people loved it. I'll tell you what was funny, too, about that was I remember that particular market, Clear Channel, they're one of the big radio group owners, the biggest in the world. And we, work with them. They're always friendly competitors. But, a couple of their sales guys are calling me going, how in the hell, what are you doing? What are you telling these people? Like, here's exactly what I'm doing. They're like, you should do the same thing. You'd make a lot more money. They're like, we can't do that. We would never get it through corporate. And I said, too bad you work for corporate. Do something entrepreneur. There's something entrepreneurial, And, of course, they could never get it through their corporate offices in San Antonio. They never understood it. All they know is, here's our ratings. Here's what you pay for our ratings. Do you want in or out? Where we're like, we will figure out how to sell you something and make it worth your while. And they loved us. Those clients were with us from day one till we sold the station.
You know what else I love about that story so much is that it was the most low-tech tracking you could possibly imagine. Everybody's working today on how do I track this and technology and the systems and the CRM, all that garbage. You said CD. I'll give you $500 and don't lose them because you owe me $35 per CD.
That's what I do with our tourist stations. I do it the same thing. I get paid on those leads just like that.
What's a tourist station? What do you mean?
In Branson, Missouri, and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, we've got tourist stations, and those people that come in off the station for a CD, that's a lead, and we get paid on a lead.
And that's for, I know what it is, but people might understand. This is like a timeshare deal. What is it down there? Resort?
They come in to buy tickets for shows or attractions or get booked to take a timeshare tour, you know, that type of thing. And so that's a lead for us. So, and again, it's that lowest low tech tracking known to man, but it works great. And the listeners love it too because, and by the way, just coincidentally, it's a comedy CD that they come in to get. And the listeners love it because they're listening to comedy as they're on vacation, going to someplace cool, and they get to take some of that comedy home with them for free. And we get a chance to sell them something.
It doesn't have to be a comedy CD. It could be anything that's they're listening to that would resonate with on the radio or whatever the medium is, whether it be internet, radio, TV, whatever that would be. That,
yeah, and as a marketer, or let's say, for instance, if you're a radio host or you're wanting to start a radio show, you know, your money, it's going to be, you can't go out, there's no ratings to sell. But if you wind up doing per inquiry, you can set that up quickly. I mean, I know when you were hosting your radio show in Chicago, same thing. I mean, you were getting paid on leads, you were getting paid on by sponsors who were getting leads. I mean, it's a great way to do business. And
it was great because we had a high ticket item, and I had to basically bring in like I think 1 or 2 sales a week to justify the entire show on ABC. It was brilliant. Yeah, it was easier to do.
Yeah, and it's great for your customer because you're not sitting there begging for money. They're not, oh, I like Doug, so I'll go ahead and buy this, you know, $5,000 a week sponsorship or whatever. It's like, I want it because I want the leads. So it's like they're, you know, they want that. And so if you want to host a radio show, that's how you do it. You know, if you want to host it and be able to fund it right off the bat, you know, figure out a way to generate leads for somebody or a group of people, and that's going to pay for your show right off the bat. Now, that's where a lot of syndicated radio went down the toilet. Is a lot of these radio networks didn't get that. You know what? The internet, you can prove how many people bought it because you can track it so well. With the way we do radio and television, same thing. They can track it. We know that people are watching or listening because we're driving sales and leads to those people. We never ever have to defend sales. We never have to go, you know what? Come back and spend another $50,000 a month with us because we have these ratings. People like, well, we're not seeing any sales. With us, it's like, you don't see any sales? Don't pay me a nickel, no matter what my ratings are. But you know, if we're driving leads to people at no risk to them, it's great. Great for us, great for them. We make more money. They have no risk and get great leads.
That's awesome. Which brings me to my what I wanted to offer to people here at Kent, because I did a little a little book for people here. I'm going to just take the screen off of our mugs and put on this. For people who are watching the show today or even on the replay, I'm going to encourage you to join our community on Facebook. It's right there. It's facebook.com/groups/authoryourbrand. If you go to authoryourbrand.com free, I've got a book there for you. It's called The 7 Secrets of Broadcast Radio, where Kent, some of the stuff I've learned from Kent and my own show are there for you to enjoy. It's about a 30-page book. You can read it in under an hour. Gives you great ideas on how to start your own radio show or how to advertise and do some of these JV deals that Kent was describing. And the last thing I'm offering, just for people who are listening to this program, is a consult with me to go over your advertising, your joint venture stuff, whatever it is for authoring a book. And in addition, as a journalist with Newswire, I'm also giving you guys basically a Google certified press release. Absolutely free. It's $250 value. You get it for free. Just go to dougcrow.youcanbook.me and you can get your stuff there. So that's available to you, and I am looking forward to sharing that with whoever wants one. Back to the screen of Kent and Doug, and we are going to close this out. I want to thank our guest today. Whoa, there we go. I want to thank our guest today for being with us. And Kent, you want any closing words?
No, Doug, it's great to be on your show. Loved it as always. You're one of my dear pals. You got to give Omar the plumber credit for being in, and of course, Offer too. You got to, yes.
Oh, anybody needs a plumber in Agoura Hills, they should contact Omar.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. If you're in Agoura Hills, you need plumbing. He's your man.
Actually, it's Amnon, not Omar.
Amnon, I mean Amnon, not Omar. Amnon.
That's what I meant.
Agoura Plumbing, right there. Not to be confused with agoraphobia, the fear of crowds. This is agora plumbing, where we have no fear of water, no fear of pipes.
And no fear of crowds.
That's right, no fear of crowds. Uncle Doug, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye, Aubrey. Bye, Kat. Talk to you later.
Bye, Doug.